Hey there Twisters, welcome back to another video. Today is part 1 of a 2-part series in which I count down the top 10 best San Jose Sharks playoff series of all time. So I'm going to be stretching back all the way to the 1990s up until this last year of postseason play, because the Sharks have been part of many great series out there. In fact, I even had to leave some of them off of this list. For example, the 2004 series against Colorado. I had to leave that off. I had to leave off the 2008 7-game series against Calgary. I left off the 2018 sweep of the Anaheim Ducks. I think, in my opinion, there are 10 series that have more impact or were more epic in their series of events. Anyway, if you have any opinions as to what you think are the best Sharks playoff series of all time, let me know in the comments below, either for this video or for the next video. And also, if you haven't already, be sure to check out my video on the top 10 worst series of all time. Alright my friends, so are you ready to start the countdown? We're going to begin with number 10 and work our way to number 6 for this video, and then we'll cover the next 5 after that in the subsequent video. So my friends, let's get ready to roll into history in 3, 2, 1... Yes, the Sharks ended up losing this series, but after one of the best upsets in league history, and I'll get into that in the next video. The third-year, 8th-seeded Sharks nearly completed another stunning 7-game series, but didn't return home empty-handed. In Game 1, goaltender Arturs Irbe answered the bell, stopping 29 of 31 shots. A late third-period goal from Johan Garpenlov lifted San Jose to a 1-0 series lead. The Leafs took advantage of a plethora of powerplay chances in Game 2, connecting on 3 of them. Goaltender Felix Potvin only had to make 19 of 20 saves to help even up the series. Back at the San Jose Arena, as it was officially called back then, the Sharks took control of a 1-1 game 29 seconds into the second period. Ulf Dahlin lit the lamp 90 seconds later to make it 3-1. The Sharks would tally their 5th goal late in the game, only to be followed by a line brawl that added up to 76 penalty minutes. Yes, you heard me correctly. 3 more misconducts occurred in Game 4, although by the time those started coming in, Toronto had surged to a 5-0 lead. The Leafs finished that night, having scored 8 goals on 34 shots. The series tied at 2. At home one more time for Game 5, Sergei Makarov got on the board 97 seconds in and helped extend the Sharks' first period lead to 3-1 later on with a second goal. Irbe rebounded well, stopping 27 of 29 shots in the 5-2 victory. The Sharks traveled to Toronto with a chance to advance to the conference finals in their first ever trip to the postseason. Wendell Clark nearly put the team on his back the rest of the series. In the first period of Game 6, he slipped through the defense, streaking into the zone and one-timing a puck that had banged off the boards. 1-0 Leafs. In the second period, Igor Larionov raced through the neutral zone, spotting a lack of defensive coverage, and slapped the puck by Potvin to tie the game at 1. Then in the third, with a man advantage, Clark got on the board once more, parking himself in front of the net and tipping home a shot pass. The Sharks answered back 2 minutes later as Ulf Dahlin made a terrific play behind the net to a surging Jeff Norton. The teams exchanged grade A chances through the rest of regulation but could not break the tie. In sudden death, Johan Garpenlov came within inches of ending the series, sending a slap shot past Potvin, but dinging the crossbar. At the other end, a Bob Rouse shot landed behind the net and was collected by Doug Gilmour. Gilmour dished the puck behind him as he saw Mike Gartner heading to the front of the net unmanned. Gartner buried the pass to force Game 7. For Game 7, once again Wendell Clark was the difference maker for the Leafs. He set the tone early with a goal 9 minutes in, and then roughly halfway through the game, struck a second time. The chippy play from earlier had nearly vanished, as the Leafs remained disciplined and showcased their best hockey. The Sharks weren't without their chances, but Potvin remained strong in net, stopping 30 of 32 shots for the 4-2 victory and the series win. Despite the bittersweet ending, the 93-94 season is among the most crucial in Sharks history. It was the team's first year in San Jose, after spending the first 2 near San Francisco. The team drew 16,500 on average, and despite a lackluster record, still qualified for the playoffs in just their 3rd season. They were a crossbar away from going to the conference finals. Most importantly, this Sharks run galvanized a hockey community in Northern California, epitomized by the city of San Jose throwing a parade upon the team's return. A 7-game stalemate thwarted by Jonathan Quick in 2013. an embarrassing reverse sweep to the would-be Cup champions in 2014, and to boot, a 2-1 defeat in the franchise's lone outdoor game hosted in 2015. The Sharks were the Kings' little brother, but once the 2016 playoffs rolled around, had enough. With home ice in the first round, not only were the Kings overwhelming series favorites, but they were also a frontrunner to win the Western Conference. The third-ranked LA defense matched up with San Jose's fourth-ranked offense in a short but certainly close series of contests. Game 1 was low on the shot clock, but saw both teams put quality chances on net. The Kings seemingly had control when they took a 3-2 lead off a shorthanded goal, but 30 seconds later, Tomáš Hertl equalized. First-year captain Joe Pavelski scored 2 goals, including what would be the game winner just 17 seconds into the third period. Pavelski found the back of the net again in Game 2. Team Teal blocked 28 shots, and Martin Jones stopped 26 of 27, en route to an impressive 2-0 series lead. At SAP Center, the Kings wrestled back some momentum, laying 61 hits and blocking 27 shots. Tanner Pearson lit the lamp in overtime to close the series to 2-1. But despite solving the Sharks' 5-on-5 scoring, LA struggled against the San Jose man advantage. The Sharks controlled Game 4 by scoring the first 3 goals, all on the power play, and came away up 3-1 in the series. Facing elimination in Game 5, the Kings got in a hole early, surrendering the first goal 78 seconds in. Timely secondary scoring from Jonas Donskoy, Chris Tierney, and Matt Nieto put the Sharks up 3-0. The Kings pushed back to score 3 unanswered goals of their own in the second period, but in the third, Donskoy scored his second of the game, and Joe Pavelski delivered the series dagger. It wasn't a stunning upset or remarkable comeback, but it was much needed redemption for a team who had sputtered in the spotlight. The Sharks would be rewarded with home ice in the next round. How does a team that outscores its opponents 17-15 lose a series in 5 games? Well, for 4 of those games, let's just say I had to wear gloves to keep my fingernails intact. The Red Wings had represented the Western Conference in the past 2 Cup finals, but despite the leadership of Nicklas Lidstrom and breakaway brilliance from Pavel Datsyuk, they were starting to decline. Meanwhile, the Sharks had failed to assert themselves as a Western Conference powerhouse the past few postseasons. They collapsed against the 8th-seeded Ducks the previous year and squandered a chance to go up 3-1 in the series against the Red Wings in 2007. In Game 1, Joe Pavelski started the scoring with a power play goal 9 minutes in. A minute later, Danny Heatley got on the board, only to be followed up 23 seconds later on a goal from Devin Setoguchi. The Wings fought back to close the lead to 3-2, then 4-3 early in the third, but they couldn't generate enough chances to test Sharks netminder Yevgeny Nabokov. Pavelski continued his dominance on the power play in Game 2, scoring his third of the series with the man advantage. Nicklas Lidstrom broke a 2-2 tie in the second, only to be equalized in the third by who else? The big Pavelski once again on the power play. Later on, Lidstrom tried to send a point shot to the net but broke his stick. Heatley read the play and drove a 2-on-1 back the other way. His shot bounced off Jimmy Howard's pad, but Joe Thornton cleaned up the rebound and scored the game winner. The Red Wings capitalized on their return to Joe Louis Arena by taking their first multi-goal lead of the series. Devin Setoguchi put the Sharks on the board with just 4 seconds left in the first period, but the unfazed Wings regained their 2-goal lead on a tally from future captain Henrik Zetterberg. In the third, Joe Thornton scored a rare wraparound to cut the deficit to 3-2. Minutes later, Jimmy Howard surrendered his worst goal of the series, an awkward goal line shot from rookie Logan Couture. Now in overtime, the Red Wings' Jason Williams sent a slap shot high off the boards, rolling to an open Joe Thornton in the neutral zone. In a 2-on-1, Jumbo found Patrick Marleau, who chipped the puck past an aggressive Howard. After eating humble pie from the Red Wings in their previous 2 postseason matches, the Sharks were now in the driver's seat, at least momentarily. I don't know what sort of conversation ensued in the Detroit locker room after Game 3, but whatever it was, it lit a fire under the players' butts. Johan the Mule Franzen led a 5-goal first-period blitz from the home team, recording a natural hat-trick in the process. Thomas Greiss replaced Yevgeny Nabokov after the first, and Jimmy Howard saved 28 of 29 shots to push the series to Game 5. Detroit looked to retain their momentum for Game 5. Brian Rafalski scored first on a booming slap shot that evaded the screen Nabokov. Shortly after, Heatley and Thornton crashed the net, with Thornton collecting the rebound and burying the equalizer. In the third, after Howard stopped a penalty shot bid from Pavelski, Heatley forced a turnover from behind the Detroit net. The puck squirted to Thornton, who shoveled it to Marlowe in the slot. Patty one-timed it past Howard for what was the series-clinching goal. Nabokov was stellar after the Game 4 debacle, saving 33 of 34 shots. The Sharks advanced to the conference finals, but were swept by the would-be champion Chicago Blackhawks. It took 20 years for these two California rivals to match up in the postseason. Coming off a conference finals appearance in 2010, the 2011 Sharks entered the playoffs favored to make another deep run. Meanwhile, the Kings had qualified for the playoffs in consecutive years, backed by solid goaltending from a young Jonathan Quick. Opening up at then HP Pavilion, San Jose drove 45 shots on goal. Antti Niemi was strong, saving 33 of 35, and Joe Pavelski notched the game winner to help his team triumph 3-2. The Kings punched back quickly in Game 2, scoring 2 power play goals in the first period. Quick recorded a 34-save shutout to help Los Angeles return home with a tied series. Game 3 will go down as one of the zaniest postseason games in franchise history. Once again, the Kings came out in a fury, scoring at 2:26 and 2:29. 44 seconds into the second stanza, Brad Richardson gave the Kings a stranglehold 4-0 lead. Immediately, former Sharks head coach Todd McClellan rotated Finnish netminders, sending Antero Niittymaki to mop up the mess. The Sharks responded with a goal not even 3 minutes later, then found the back of the net twice more to close the gap to 1. But Kings forward Ryan Smith slipped through the Teal defense just 15 seconds later to push the game to 5-3. At 18:35, Ryan Clough scored his second goal of the period, and at 19:29, Joe Pavelski scored the Sharks' 5th goal of the period, tying the game at 5. The two teams went scoreless in the third to force overtime. Then 3:09 into the extra period, Patrick Marleau entered the Kings zone and found a trailing Devin Setoguchi, who snapped the puck by Quick. It was just the 5th time in playoff history that a team came back from at least 4 goals down to win. Ryan Clough continued a strong series in Game 4 by notching 2 goals in the second period. San Jose held a 3-0 lead until LA bounced back with 2 of their own. The Sharks surged for 2 more goals early in the third period, and Niemi redeemed his performance the past 2 games by stopping 35 of 38 shots. The Sharks returned home with a chance to close things out and brought out their firepower, sending 52 shots on goal. But Jonathan Quick put together one of his signature playoff performances, and his supporting cast tallied 3 goals in the first period on just their first 4 shots, chasing Niemi from his net once again. The Kings escaped 3-1. Back at Staples Center, Game 6 did not disappoint, with the two teams trading goals back and forth. Tied 3-3 late in the third period, Sharks forward Jamie McGinn received a 5-minute major for charging, giving the Kings a tremendous chance to force Game 7, but the Sharks' penalty kill contained LA to force overtime. Then at 2:22 into sudden death, Joe Thornton crashed the net, collected a deflected puck, spun himself around and buried the series-clinching goal. The Sharks captain delivered an equally spectacular celly to boot. San Jose won its first postseason series against their bitter rival and advanced as far as the conference finals. However, they were dominated by the Vancouver Canucks, falling in 5 games. As for the Kings, the past 2 postseasons warmed them up for the remarkable runs they made in 2012 and 2014, capturing their first 2 Stanley Cups. In round 2 of the 2016 playoffs, the Sharks regained home ice, thanks in part to the upstart Nashville Predators surprisingly taking out the top-seeded Ducks. What followed is one of the more overlooked playoff series in franchise history. I've always considered it as the most exciting of the 3 series leading up to the Sharks' lone finals appearance, but in terms of impact, it isn't quite as hollow. Let's have a look anyway. Captain Mike Fisher had scored to give Nashville a 1-0 lead heading into the third period of Game 1. The Sharks then struck for 2 power play goals and held a 3-1 lead late into the game, eventually triumphing 5-2 due to a couple of empty netters. Tied 1-1 later in the third period of Game 2, Joe Pavelski netted his 6th goal of the playoffs and gave his team a 2-0 series lead. Back in Smashville, the Preds only managed 25 shots on goal, but snuck 4 of them by Martin Jones in a 4-1 dominant display. In Game 4, Brent Burns scored 2 goals, but James "the real deal" Neal equalized late in the third period to force overtime. In the extra stanza, Ryan Johansson had Martin Jones beat but hit the post, At the other end, Joe Pavelski was pushed into Pecorine and deflected a puck in, only to be disallowed for goaltender interference. Overtime persisted into a third period, and at 11:12, Mike Fisher collected a rebound alone in front of the net and lit the lamp to even the series at 2. Pecorine had his best game of the series, stopping 44 of 47 shots. In Game 5, the Sharks came out fiery in front of their home crowd and chased Pecorine out of his net. The timing of the Sharks' goals was especially critical, as they struck at 17:21 in the first, 35 seconds into the second, and 19:22 into the second, with Pavelski tallying his 7th and 8th goals of the playoffs. San Jose looked to close out Nashville early in Game 6, with 2 first-period goals from Chris Tierney. But the Preds hunkered down defensively, surrendering just 18 shots on goal and skated into overtime 3-3. Victor Arvidsson sprung loose on a breakaway and buried the series-tying goal. Were the Sharks about to collapse in the postseason yet again? Not on Pavelski's watch. The Sharks captain scored the game's first goal, and Joel Ward extended the lead to 2-0 before first intermission. Logan Couture made it 3-0 just 36 seconds into the second period, and Joe Thornton sealed the series victory just 32 seconds into the third. The Sharks had survived a second-round scare to a Nashville team that represented the West in the Cup Finals the following season. Okay, my friends, so that was the last half of my list. Again, I'll be putting out that top 5 in a subsequent video, hopefully in the next week or so if you're watching this video. So what do you think so far? I mean, the Sharks have played a couple of great series against the LA Kings and against the Red Wings, so I wanted to make sure to include those there. Also, the Nashville Predators series, as I alluded to, that was a great 7 games of hockey. I think that's one of the better 7-game series the Sharks have played in. Anyway, I'm looking forward to putting out this second half video, and I hope that you stick around for that. Again, if you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe for weekly content. This has been Nick with Twisted Wrister Hockey. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again soon.